Gavin Newsom made his first visit to San Diego today since becoming governor as he pushes for $25 million in state funding to aid migrants seeking asylum in the U.S. This as the county just approved a new temporary migrant shelter downtown. That's where we find News 8's Richard Allen with more. Richard?
And Barbara Lee, that new temporary migrant shelter will be located here on 6th Avenue downtown, run by a coalition of nonprofits called the San Diego Rapid Response Network. Today, Governor Newsom touted his plan to help fund this type of migrant assistance, both in the short term and the long term, after getting a first-hand look at the facility here himself.
It's an extraordinary facility. The county couldn't have done better.
Returning to San Diego for the first time as governor, Gavin Newsom stressed the need to care for migrant families in the process of legally seeking asylum in the United States. This week, San Diego County's Board of Supervisors greenlighted a new temporary migrant shelter in downtown San Diego.
This is a community that has stepped up. This is a community that's taken responsibility for the human condition.
Governor Newsom has proposed a total of $25 million in state funding to address what Senate Leader Tony Atkins called a legitimate humanitarian emergency.
These families are fleeing a life of violence, of hunger and fear, risking their very lives to search for hope.
The first $1 million would be made immediately available, while the remaining $20 million would be dispersed over the next several years to help local nonprofits and community groups that serve asylum-seeking migrants.
We can't just let these folks roam our streets and be subject to human trafficking and violence and really fill up our homeless shelters even more. That's what would happen.
Some state and county leaders blame the Trump administration for discontinuing its program to aid these migrants last October.
This ultimately is the federal government's failure. This problem was of their making. But we have to deal with the consequences.
Also Thursday, the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium held a forum to help educate all immigrants, including those seeking asylum, on the California Values Act, which forbids local law enforcement from indiscriminately helping federal immigration officers in mass deportations.
So we're watching, and we're going to be sure to hold any law enforcement agency who might be violating the law accountable.
Now, the State Budget Committee has already approved this $5 million in immediate funding. The Assembly will vote on it on this coming Monday, followed by the Senate. As for that additional $20 million in migrant aid in the long term, if approved, that will be available starting in July.